of the topic has been introduced, so in about 15 to 18 minutes, I'll try to run across the journey for the last 77 years and maybe what lies ahead for us in the next couple of decades. This is a story which has actually made the country proud. From a milk deficient nation to the largest producer of milk in the world to becoming a dairy to the world is a very, very logical journey that Amul is looking at taking on further in the decades to come. But more importantly now is the power of cooperatives as a model for development. This has been demonstrated amply by this model, now recognized by the governments and the policymakers. And this is where we are going to look at how this journey can be transformative to all the consumers, all the producers, and for the country as a whole and as a large. Looking at the numbers, we've been rated as the strongest dairy brand in the world, as also the second strongest food brand in the world, and also among the top 5 brands in India with the consumers' trust. So this is where it's been a journey which is very important for the brand to get noticed and recognized not only domestically but also in the international markets. And sharing about some numbers, we do close to 300 lakh liters of milk every day, which is about 10 billion liters. Our turnover last year was about $9 billion US, about 72,000 crore rupees. And in terms of the volume of milk handled, we would be the 8th largest dairy company in the world. So this is where we are currently. And as you know, India is a large country, but Amul operates only in one geography of India, which is largely Gujarat. So still a company from one province of a country trying to be in the top 10, on being in the top 10 and going into top 5 in the next few years is a journey which is quite remarkable and also a source of livelihood for the millions of farmers who are attached with it. So as I mentioned, Amul is a brand for the country. We know about brands and marketing. We know it's the countries which make strong, represent and give strength to the brands. So we know there are several American brands, there are several European brands, there are several Japanese brands, and it's the strength of the country which makes that brand very strong and popular. But here our journey started in 1946, where India was deficit in milk. And because of this cooperative movement, which started with just 2 village cooperative societies and 247 liters of milk in 1946, to India emerging as the largest producer of milk in the world because of replication of this cooperative model across India, which means this is a cooperative model or a model of farmers working together has given this great pride to our country. And this is what is the journey actually makes the journey very interesting and inspiring, and also leading the way for what's going to happen in the next decades to come. So this, when companies look for purpose in brands and try to justify what they are doing by reinventing or trying to talk about it or creating one when that doesn't exist, this is where purpose is a part of our DNA. We started with a cooperative model, we started with farmers coming together, and it is an organization of 3.6 million farmers across 18,600 villages of Gujarat, and similarly across India, about 200,000 villages of the country, where lakhs of farmers are members of it. It makes living a purpose almost every single day of its existence over the last 7.5 to 8 decades. So in today's session, to make things in a very structured manner, I put it in different ways. How do we look at this model or what we are looking at for future in terms of empowerment of the farmers, focusing on the consumers, focusing on the product and communication, focusing on the process, and focusing on the technologies to continue to stay relevant in the times to come and perhaps keep pace with the changing times and also lead the way in many of the sectors. And I'll talk about some of these things in the coming slides to come. The farmers are core of our existence. They are our owners. So this largest food company, largest FMCG brand in the country is not owned by a corporate. It's not owned by the government. It is owned by 3.6 million farmers. And this is the farmers who get the pride of ownership, not just as supplier of milk and getting the best price of milk, but also as owner of a large organization, a large brand, a trusted brand, and this is no other model can do this but for a cooperative. And we started as a farmers movement, and now we are empowering more than 3.6 million farmers, because as you know, dairy is the work which is largely done by women, and their role is getting recognized. And more importantly, the collective effort has made milk the largest agricultural crop of India. The value of output of milk is more than 10 lakh crore rupees, and it is about 1/5 of India's GDP. 1/3 of India's agriculture GDP. And wheat, paddy, oil seeds put together is actually less than milk. So this is how important it is, not just from the production point of view, from a consumption point of view also. If you look at your own monthly consumption of all the different food items, dairy will be the single largest product that each one of consumes in our households. So both ways, this is where it is becoming very important. And the success of the model is also of the fact that if you spend 100 rupees on Amul products, 80% of it goes back straight to the farmer. So nowhere in the world, this is the ratio of a producer to consumer to producer. A European farmer will get only 1/3 share of a consumer's euro or a dollar or a pound. Okay, same applies to US, same applies to Australia, New Zealand, any developed country. But because of the strength of the cooperative, consumers get the best quality products at a value for money pricing, and the producers benefit out of it because of the strength of this particular model. And it's a farmer-centric organization. So farmers are at the heart of all the operations that we do on the one side of it. And money is also digitally transferred to the bank account of the farmers. And more than 1/3, I mean, we pour almost 200 crore rupees worth of cash equivalent of money to the farmers' accounts every day in Gujarat. And 1/3 of that money is directly in the bank accounts of the women. So this is the kind of women empowerment also happening. And as it is said that if money goes directly in the bank account of a woman, the impact of that money is very, very high, because she is very careful of how the money is spent. Her focus is on spending the money for the family, the education of the children, feeding the food properly, not only for the family, but all the cattle, and that makes a big change into it. And that's what we've been also pioneering. And so it's been now identified and recognized as a tool for women empowerment. And more importantly, in the recent G20, when the Honorable Prime Minister talked about the focus of his presidency, it was not about women's development, because everybody's been talking about women's development. Here we are discussing about women-led development. And there cannot be a shining example than a cooperative like Amul doing this day in and day out. And that's why we were also being made part of the institutional partner of the W20, and this was a model which has been now showcased to the world. And there's another dimension to this also, which is the South-South model. So if any developing country wants a solution to its problems, you don't have to look up to a developed country. The solution lies in other developing countries, and this is where this model also is coming in handy, and I'll talk about it in the subsequent slides. Then comes all of us. We as consumers want good quality products, nutrition, and more importantly, products which you can enjoy, we can afford, and continue to consume down the years. So the challenge lies on the brand now to create a portfolio of the products which each of us want in our daily lives. So if we say, instead of just drinking milk, how do we eat milk with every meal? And that is the motto, this is the preamble under which we work, and try to create a diverse range of product portfolio. So if Dr. Batra is not very happy with the lactose content in milk and he's giving up milk and going into substitutes, we need to have a lactose-free milk also for him. Or somebody avoiding sugar, we need to have a sugar-free range of products for him. Somebody is very conscious of protein, we need to have a protein-rich products for it. If somebody is interested in indulgence of chocolates but don't want the sugar component of chocolates, we need to develop a dark chocolate of it. So different kind of products. Sometimes consumers speak out what they want, sometimes they don't. But we have to anticipate what the changing customer wants and try to create a portfolio. We do this. The new product development is a very, very strong part of our entire business. There are about 120 products in pipeline under incubation. Every year we launch 40, 50 different types of products, extensions, and so on and so forth. So this is one engine which continues to run because of 1.4 billion people that we have, and the changing tastes and aspirations, the emerging competition within and outside. All this has to be anticipated so that we are able to keep pace with the changing times. And more importantly is the distribution also. India, being such a large country, lakhs of villages, urban areas becoming very, very competitive. Amul has to keep a strong eye on distribution. Our distribution channel is not just the typical FMCG range of products, which is ambient products. It starts with fresh products like milk. We do close to 20 billion packs of product sales in a year. I repeat, 20 billion packs. It would be more than any other brand in the world, and that too in one geography of India. So all this requires, like milk, like fresh products with just 48-hour shelf life, directly going from the plant to the market, to products in chilled condition like butter, cheese at 0 to 4 degree, frozen range of products starting with ice cream at minus 20 degrees centigrade and the entire thing. And of course the ambient products like the key beverages, Tetra Pak milk and so on and so forth. So you need to have a supply chain which is very, very strong, reaching to every part of the country, and more importantly, all the selling happens on a common app. So on the left side is a Locate Amul app, and you can see outlet in every single street of the country, the details like the name of the shop, the phone number of that shop, the name of the distributor, the name of the Amul salesman selling that product and looking after that market, and the number of SKUs of Amul available in every single shop. So this is our platform for the Q-commerce, and tomorrow, I mean, you don't need to depend on fancy apps, but 1,000 plus Amul SKUs will be available in near commerce form closer to you, as much as we do a shop.amul or a cyber store online, which we started way back in 1998, among the first ones to do e-commerce in India, to running an e-commerce and e-commerce only products or D2C only product categories being launched on that particular platform. And we have 85 warehouses across India, so 85 frozen warehouses, 85 ambient warehouses, 85 chilled warehouses, 98 dairy plants, so close to 400 DCs, which will be at least 10 times than the largest e-commerce players in the country, all being made e-commerce compliant. So we are about 200 kilometers from every single customer in our country, every single pin code in our country, and that's what we have been energizing and activating to see that we keep pace with the changing times and tides of distribution and meet every single customer's requirements wherever we are. And when you say D2C, it becomes also D2R automatically. So you can also reach out to the requirement of every single retailer, and that becomes a very integrated B2B, B2C and D2C kind of an organization. Communication is key to it, and all of you are marketeers, so you know how important this particular activity is. And this is a range of products which is across categories, multiple SKUs, million retail outlets, and trying to meet the requirements of more than 1 billion customers across the country. And more important part of our product marketing strategy is that we would not compromise on the taste of the product, on the recipe of the product, irrespective of whatever the pricing pressures are. We know several companies who substitute milk fat with vegetable oil, and the consumers are not aware of that. We have not changed the recipe of any of our products, and that's what wins the blind trust of the customer. When you know it's Amul, it has to be the same taste, the same recipe, same formulation, and this is what goes on and on for decades, and that is what is the DNA of the organization. Never ever try to shortchange a customer. And then you see that, as I mentioned, eating milk in every meal. So you need to lead by innovation. I mentioned about the protein range of products. I was just discussing Dr. Batra, how each one of us need to consume 1 gram of protein per kg of our body weight every day. Now, if we are, as a society, want to stay strong, if we want to keep a strong immunity, and whatever happens, I mean, we need to improve our longevity, the way we need our body is configured to, protein becomes a very, very important component of it. And as a largely vegetarian society, sources of protein are very limited. And this is where our innovation in protein is happening with high protein lassi, high protein buttermilk, high protein shakes, high protein cookies, high protein ice cream, high protein yogurts, even high protein milk. And that's what is going to be a game changer of country. Same applies to probiotics. We need immunity, and there is no better source of immunity than a good quality probiotic. So a few months back, we sell close to 3 lakh, we have converted our entire fresh buttermilk into probiotic. So we sell close to 30 lakh liters of buttermilk every day. At 30 rupees a liter, you get the same quality of probiotics as you get in the world-class brands. Okay, and this is what is our effort to strengthening the immunity of country without adding a single rupees burden on any consumer, and it can become a very, very big game changer to strengthening our immunity. And same several other products categories that you are all aware. We need to continue develop, we keep developing it, and that would make it to it. We also recently forayed into organics, because we realized that consumers are wanting a trusted brand in organics. And when you say organics, each one of us wants to consume food without chemical fertilizers and without pesticides. There's been a rampant use and abuse of fertilizers in our country, pesticides in our country, all in a race to improve the productivity. But we are compromising on the health of our countrymen, our citizens, and the worst part is the soil quality is also deteriorated. The carbon content in the soil is very, very low. So if you have to feed more than 1.4 billion people continuously for the next several decades, you need to also worry about the soil as much as we worry about our health. And this is our foray into organic, and I'll talk about the other initiatives which we are a participant of, which will help in strengthening the organic movement across the country, educating the farmers to educating the consumers, and be the bridge as a brand of providing trusted organics for all products we consume in our household and our kitchen every day. And retail is of course very important. Parlor experience is also very important. And more importantly, this initiative was done to counter the might of all the modern retail chains from abroad who were once upon a time, about more than 10 years back, trying to come into India and dominate the space. So we started our parlor movement then, and today we have more than 10,000 Amul parlors trying to cater across every formats, and all the products that we sell come under one roof, and that becomes a very formidable place for the customers to do. And those who are in Delhi, you must have seen about 150 odd the red Amul booths, milk booths coming up in your locality, and this giving us a good opportunity to showcase our entire range of products and keep launching more and more new products into it. Experience is also very important, so we are now working on this new concept of ice lounge. We have several of them right now in Bombay. We have at the Palladium, all high-end places, all the best malls of the country. In Bombay, in Pune, in Ahmedabad, we have one in Delhi coming up at CP. So about 100 such ice lounges selling the best flavor of ice creams of the world in a very, very modern experiential format is also the new venture we are coming into it. But the success of the brand and the trust of the brand can be attributed to the umbrella branding strategy. We spend less than 1% of our turnover on advertising. There will be no brand who will be spending such a low value, because most of the brands spend 5 to 12% of their turnover on advertising. But we have to do this because we have a mandate to pass on the largest share of the consumer's rupee to the producer and to do things economical. But the consistency is what is making the difference, and that's why the cost, despite spending low, it is very, very effective. And as an organization, I've been here for more than 3 decades, there has to be very consistency in strategy and execution. And if things are not broken, you don't need to repair them. You need to build on it, refresh it, revive it. And that's why since 1994, the Taste of India logo, the symbol, the thought is in place. Amul Doodh Pita Hai India since 2000, and more importantly, the Utterly Butterly Amul since 1960s. So no change in the lines, campaigns get refreshed, campaigns build on the minds of the customer, and the umbrella brand gives a huge recall value that you see an Amul ad anywhere, the memory goes to entire range of products that you are used to and you're consuming. And of course, the credit goes to the little girl who has kept the brand very young, very vibrant, very topical, and very happening for successive generations over a period of time. And this was the first topical that we did, and we continue to build on it continuously. And sports is a very important part of our associations. We've been tying with all the Indian Olympic contingents, Asian Games contingents, to the several sporting things, including the Argentina, the Portugal in the recent World Cup. Also, 3 of the teams did a lot of interesting things and won a lot of eyeballs. So in this world where media is fragmented, we realize sports is a very strong denomination to have, to capture, to be there in the live moment and build on this equity. And because milk as the world's original energy drink renders itself very well to this thing, and it is helping us to continue with the association in a very, very strong way. This is one interesting part of a campaign which we are working on, apart from the pillars that we have. If the brand has to go global, you need to have a hook which is also universal in appeal. Otherwise, the Taste of India will not resonate with customers who are not Indians in different parts of the world. And same is true for Real Milk, Real Ice Cream, or whatever it is. So how do you connect with the consumers in the world and build on the brand for the next decades to come? So this is where is our latest global youth campaign, in which we are now not talking about the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates, energy, and different components of milk. We are talking about the values of milk, which resonates with everyone across cultures in different parts of the world. And these are the values which everyone in the world holds sacred, which is honesty, milk being honest, milk being pure, milk being natural, milk blending in with everything. Milk is comforting, milk is refreshing, milk is authentic. Now, this is what the values we have tried to derive from the milk, and we are now urging the world to be more milk. Now, this is one campaign which can manifest itself in many forms, in many ways, across occasions, across things which are connecting to each one of us. And this was our recent ad when we showcased the importance of being more milk with the sports and like the sports champions, and showcasing our different associations. But this is one property which we believe will take the brand to a different level in the years to come across all the international markets, and would instantly have a connect with the youth. And Yuvraj ji, we are at Times Square in New York, and we are going to go to several iconic locations. I would also mention we have a couple of butter topicals in New York, New Jersey area also. So apart from what is the conventional part of it, We are trying to refresh the brand and take it to a different medium, and trying to see that we are a part of this new language of the youth and try to how to be a part of it in the global things in the years to come. Otherwise, digital has been a very, very strong part of our activities and activations over a long period of time. And again, here the thing is not just being an advertiser. It is working and thinking on as a content creator with an always-on engagement and a conversation. And you are aware of, we are among the only few brands in the country, or perhaps the only brand in the country, we create content in more than 14 different languages. Social media handles across Facebook, Twitter, Insta, YouTubes, the Telegrams and share chats and multiple languages, multiple handles, and a huge, huge reach. And so much of original content being created through our Facebook online recipes and many other things, making us the strongest brand on social media. This is one show we started in COVID during the lockdown when people are at home and wanting to look at interesting recipes. The best of the chefs from across the country and the world came on this platform. And we started on about 18th of April in 18th April 2020. For the last more than 4 years, the show goes on, and more than 4,000 chefs have come, and they are showcasing their recipes. More than 5,000 shows and such Facebook Live content with lakhs of organic views coming in. Now 6,300 plus sessions have come in, 3 billion plus reach, 50 plus countries, and more than 1,300 days, and going on and on every day, all at zero cost. So, and again, food being promoted and being talked about and viewed across multiple languages. We also on Metaverse. We were among the first few web companies in India to have .com presence way back in 1994-95. And we are trying to lead into this space with a new now Amulverse also in action. And this is what trying to go with the changing customer, the changing times, and adapting to the technologies and the mediums available to build on it. Process becomes very important because end of the day, as I mentioned, these are the distribution highways. We have to be a very, very efficient material handling company. So more than 300 lakh liters of milk moving in from 18,000 villages, collected on a common software from 36 lakh farmers every day, twice a day in fact. And then that comes across all the 4 distribution highways. We call the concept highways because on an highway, the more the traffic plies, the cost of the transaction comes down, viability of the distributor improves, the retailer also benefits out of it because of large throughput. Competition is very easy to block because otherwise a company trying to launch yogurt in its own way, or a butter in its own way, or an ice cream in its own way, will find it very difficult to compete with a supply chain which goes relentlessly 24/7, 365 days, not a single day business was stopped even during COVID lockdowns in the worst phases, which ensures that this is where you can work uninterruptedly in a seamless manner in all circumstances. And this is what gives an unparalleled reach to the brand and a large number of channel partners to support and work with. And distribution also expands to more than 50 countries around the world, and that is what is going to give us a heft in the times to come. With India's milk production will be from currently 25% of the total milk to almost 1/3 of the total milk. And this is the cow to consumer supply chain, and every member of the supply chain either focuses on improving the productivity or reducing the cost, which means you benefit the consumers continuously, you benefit the producers continuously, and try to be ahead in this game. Technology plays a very, very important part of it, and the thought which happened to us, and this is the line which I mentioned, IT company in the food business, was thought about way back in 1995, when we had to keep changing pace with the competition coming in thanks to the liberalization in the country. We said that if we cannot work like a traditional company, we have to work like an IT company in food business. And that's why all the processes that are there, right from milk collection to selling to marketing to manufacturing, everything is the best and state of the art and latest in the world. And digitizing every step in the food business. So there are apps through which we sell our commodities. There are apps on which the producer can sell cows and buffaloes to consumers buying online. And entire supply chain and the value chain is digitized with the latest technology. And these are some of the digital backbones. I talked about Locate Amul to know the shop closest to you which sells Amul products, to an Amul cart which a retailer can order his products online, to a trading app in which we sell our commodities online, to an app, Pashudan app, in which farmers can buy and sell cattle online. And today if you go to this app, which is actually farmer to farmer app, you can actually buy more than 2,500 cows right now, worth about 15 crore rupees, which the farmers have themselves put up for sale, and they are doing the transactions themselves. And now finally, how this brand goes to the world and what will be our role in the future. So building a sterile vision for the entire dairy industry as a cooperative is what the mission we are pursuing it. And that's why we said that from being a milk deficit country to being a dairy to the world is the journey. We are now looking at it. So as I mentioned, India's share of the milk production in the world is about 1/4. It'll go up to 1/3 in the next decade or so. And this is where we as a country will become a dairy to the world. And more importantly, this will happen because India has 7 lakh villages. There are dairy cooperatives, only 2 lakh villages. So from the balance 5 lakh villages, in the next 5 to 10 years, there will be dairy cooperatives in another 2 lakh villages, which means the organized sector will more than double. More farmers will directly get the benefit of cooperatives. There will be more women empowerment, more milk coming to the organized sector, and will lead to a dramatic jump. And more importantly, what happened in the last 50 years is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. And this is what will be the dramatic change which is going to happen into it. We are also champions of the circular economy. To put it in a nutshell, a cow gives milk 300 days in a year, but we get dung every day. As a cooperative, we have a mechanism to collect the milk. We have started working on a mechanism to collect the dung from it. The dung is processed from the methane. We do a compressed biogas, which can run a chula in your household, which can also run CNG cars. And with this, we are able to kill what you call multi-problem solution to provide multiple solutions to several problems. The farmer gets additional income for the dung. India imports a lot of fuel. You reduce that fuel imports because you are using your own homemade methane. We import a lot of fertilizers. Now the slurry which is left behind once you have produced the methane is a biofertilizer and goes back to the soil and improves the nutrient content of the soil. And more importantly, consumers also get food without chemical fertilizers. So this is where it's our role into this. To take a step further from the methane, which is CH4, you can also split it and produce green hydrogen. So an organization which is a traditional dairy company in the food business looking after this has an opportunity and a potential to transform into a full-fledged energy company, which will provide a lot of opportunities to the producer and cow, which is being treated as a problem in the different parts of the developed countries thanks to the issues related to sustainability, greenhouse gas emissions and so on. In Indian case, it will become a solution to all these problems and give a big change to way this entire economy in the business will happen, and the race to become a top 5 trillion economy to among the top 3 economies in the world. This is what will be a big contribution to it. So we are also currently on occasion of Dr. Kurian's birthday, which is National Milk Day, a clean fuel car rally of 12 cars running on compressed biogas has started from Pune and they'll reach Anand on 26th of November. So this is now, we are at the new era of a cooperation. The government of India, as I mentioned earlier, recognized this importance of it. 2 years back, a new Ministry of Cooperation has been formed in the country. Multiple initiatives were announced to strengthen the cooperative model of the country. You must have read the Honorable Finance Minister's speech. She devoted a paragraph on cooperatives and said that India has adopted cooperative as a tool for development of the small, marginal and downtrodden section of the society. And this is where is the opportunity lies for showcasing the impact of cooperatives and building India bottom up. And that's where 3 new multi-state cooperatives have been recently formed. Amul, NDDB, IFCO, CRIPCO, NCDC, NAFED, and National Consumer Cooperative Federation. The 7-8 top cooperatives of the country are promoting these 3 new multi-state cooperatives. And the one on exports will create a market for the cooperatives products, be it in agriculture, be it in dairying, be it in any other things, and create a market around the world. So Amul was successful because we identified the market of Bombay way back in 1946. And today we are giving an opportunity to 180 countries of the world to the farmers of our country. And this is what will be a big game changer. Similarly, multi-state cooperative organics will do this job of promoting the organic movement and looking after the benefit of our producers as well as the consumers. And there is third multi-state cooperative on seeds, which will look after providing good quality seeds to the farmers and strengthening the agricultural economy of the country. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a model, it's a brand opportunity for the brand not to just take the products global, it's also for us to take the model abroad. So we recently entered into a joint venture with the government of Sri Lanka. They have handed over their largest dairy, 31 farms. Amul and NDDB will have the largest major equity there. And we have given assurance to the government of Sri Lanka to make them self-sufficient in dairy in the next 10 years. And despite being such a small island, it imports 70% of its dairy requirement today. So we are talking about replication model in African countries, several of our neighboring countries, and in the next couple of decades, you will see not just the brand and the product, but the model also going abroad and benefiting to the producers and consumers in different parts of the world. So we talked about numbers of milk, the volume of milk, the value of milk and the turnover and so on. But I would like to submit that our currency is not milk. Our currency is trust. Trust of producers, trust of consumers, and this is what is the mission and the focus to take the brand in a very, very different space in the decades to come, and with the support of our producers and consumers, we will be happy to do it. And in words of Dr. Korean, we should do this, we should have this dream because we have hold in trust the aims and aspirations of millions of our countrymen.